Okay, well, Abby was born with what they said was multiple congenital anomalies. And one of those was strabismus that they noted when she was just a couple months old. And so we've been going to the ophthalmologists at children's hospitals since her infancy. And they've known she had the strabismus, and they've kind of said, oh, she needs surgery, she needs surgery. And they were really fixated on surgery. And she was also really farsighted, and she still is. And so she got glasses at age 18 months and has worn them ever since. At about, I guess it was almost 4, she had surgery for the strabismus. They said this was the only chance that she would ever use her eyes together. And they cut the muscles on both the insides of her eyes and said, okay, here's her brain's chance to rewire and use both eyes at once. We go back to the ophthalmologist, said, nope, didn't happen. Oh, well, it was cosmetic. And the fact that we had just put our 3-year-old through a cosmetic surgery was really frustrating, because if it was just cosmetic, we could have waited a lot longer. And so then they just said that was it. It was as good as it was going to get. She was never going to use both eyes at once. And she was never going to have any 3D vision. And we went to, I think, about 4 different children's hospital ophthalmologists, and they all said the same thing. She just sees differently than us, but it'll be okay. She'll kind of adapt. And that's just it. There's nothing else to do. And that was really frustrating with this small child, and I'm thinking, if she had a brain injury or something, there would be treatments. We could, do therapy. Why is vision so different that we just have to accept what we get? And when I have this small child and she had all these problems that we thought definitely related to her vision, she was terrified of stairs. We had a townhouse we lived in that we actually had to move out of because she kept falling down the stairs. She had no idea where the stairs began. And any kind of new staircase, she would just cling to the railing kind of like a spider monkey, and she was terrified. The other thing is she was afraid of anything flying overhead. Like a butterfly, 20 feet up, she would duck and act like it was coming at her, because she had no idea where anything was in space. Anything that was kind of outside of maybe 12 inches, she was clueless to. And so it made everything hard. And she tried to learn to ride her bike, but she couldn't handle going fast because I think she felt like she was just catapulting through space, and just rushing into the world where she had no idea, if this is a cliff or if this is a, nice street. That's going to support her. And so I had some friends that had done vision therapy back in New York, and I had just kind of always had that in my mind, and as more of these doctors keep saying, no, this is it, this is it, this is it. And then we moved here, and we went to the children's hospital, and we heard the same thing from the ophthalmologist. It is what it is. She's never gonna get any better in her vision. And I just kind of walked out of that meeting and I said, I need to try. And so that's when I checked out the book, Fixing My Gaze, and she just explained it so well. And I had checked it out once before, but I didn't follow through reading it because I just wasn't ready. And so that time I read it and I really thought, okay, this could be Abby. And she was, 50 when she started therapy. And I thought, if I wait till Abby's 50, I will never forgive myself. And if she can gain this. And so, let's see, so then I Googled and I found the Vision Therapy Center, and it's, 10 minutes from our house. And it just seemed like kind of the stars were aligning that we had to try. And we had to just try it and see what happened. And if we came away with no 3D vision, no depth perception, then we weren't any worse off. And so we came and did the initial eval, and they gave us the name, the strabismus with the alternating estropia, where one eye is working and one eye is turned in, and then they switch. And so both eyes are, able to work, but never at the same time. So that's pretty much how we knew that we had a significant problem, and hearing that there was something to try was kind of a big deal. We were very, very hopeful. So for the actual therapy treatment, we came once a week, and Abby loved it. She loved coming. She loved working and with the different therapists, and we had a couple schedule changes, and she was always excited to come with a new person, and she would talk about coming to play, and she just was very, very positive of it. And immediately, well, within a couple of weeks, we could see that her eyes weren't as jumpy anymore. And so that was really encouraging. We had a little bit to go on because she wasn't able to give us a lot of feedback about how her vision was working. And so after we realized that was happening, it was kind of, we were even more invested. We're like, okay, maybe this isn't just something to check off, say we tried. Maybe this is actually going to change her vision. And so we would do the homework every night, and it would be just, the way we thought of it in our family was kind of like physical therapy for her eyes and her brain. And we explained it to her as we were helping her brain understand how to use both eyes at the same time, because her brain hadn't done that before. And so we would just do the little exercises and try to make a game out of it. And I have 3 daughters. Abby's the oldest. And I can't tell you how many times we sat at the kitchen table and everybody wanted to do vision therapy, and they all wanted to do the, the games and the matching and the bingo, and they really liked it, or the gross motor kind of exercises, working on her reflexes. And so we kind of just tried to incorporate it into our daily life and our just family routine. And we always have something kind of going on, but this just became a piece. We would do, come home, vision therapy, and then do homework, and that was just how it worked, and it worked for everybody. And so, and as we saw things progressing, we became more and more invested, and it became less of a, oh, we got to do vision therapy homework, to, okay, time for that. Let's do it. Let's see what we can do today. And especially when she transitioned towards the end, she got the, what are they, red and green glasses, where she would have to use both eyes to see a card that had red and green shapes. And once we explained to her what she was doing and that she was seeing out of both eyes, it was like a light bulb went off. And she was like, oh. And then she realized that she could kind of see where things were a little bit better. And so that was kind of the best moment, because she realized that things were more understandable. She understood where she was in space a little bit better. And that was really a turning point for us. And then she was kind of fully on board and really excited, and she really has always loved it. So since Abby had more of a, I don't know, I guess complicated vision problem, she's not 100% yet. And we did the kind of initial, I want to say 36 weeks of treatment, and she made amazing leaps and bounds. And she can fixate with both eyes to, I don't know, maybe a couple of feet, maybe 6 feet at the most. But she kind of has to focus on it. And so right now we're thinking of it as like a baby. When they're first born, their eyes are kind of wandering around and trying to figure out how to go together and work. And so we kind of think that's where she is visually and neurologically, trying to reorganize that. And so we see a lot of benefits, but as far as understanding where a tree is 20 feet away, I don't know if she can kind of gauge that yet. But what she can do is walk down any staircase, just holding onto the railing like any other child, and it's amazing. And she can ride her bike really fast. And that's kind of, my husband and I were both almost crying, because she was just zipping down the street with her sister, and it was a world of difference. A year ago, she was walking her bike. She couldn't even stand to ride it, as slow as she could. And she's just much more confident in where she is. She's not, like before, she would kind of test things, step her foot out and test where it was. Like she did never know if it was a step or if it's a hill or what. She was always so cautious and careful. And now she can, I think within, I don't know, maybe 3-6 feet, she understands where things are. And she can move so much more confidently, and she can run when she's playing, and she can climb on things without being so scared. And she's just so much more confident with movement, and that's makes me so happy, because that's what I wanted. I mean, our goals in the beginning were for her to hopefully use both eyes at some point, at some distance, anything. We were just hoping that we could get her brain to understand that they were both there. And we wanted her to be more confident in where she was, and to have a better understanding of her surroundings, so she wasn't so scared all the time. And kind of the cream of the whole product was we went to the museum for a field trip. And I told her teacher that she's never been able to go in the butterfly room. We took her once, and she literally crawled on the floor in a ball because she was so terrified seeing the butterflies fly over her. She thought they were coming at her. And so I told her teacher, I don't know how long she'll make it, but we're going to try. And she went through there and looked at the butterflies and was able to just look up and watch them. And she knew that they weren't coming at her anymore. And so she just, even if it's just a little bubble, she understands where things are there. And so hopefully, as her eyes and brain kind of progress and grow together, they will, move beyond that, and she'll gain more and more. And at some point, we might need to do some more vision therapy, because the reality is her brain and eyes might need some help with that. And so that's something we have in mind, and that's okay. But the fact that she's gone from, she'll never have depth perception, she'll never ever use both eyes, and just adapt, because she's never going to understand where things are without touching them, to being comfortable in her space is just priceless. And it's totally worth all the money and all the time and just all the practice and everything. And it's so much more than just saying we tried. We changed her life. And she knows it. And she'll even say little things like, she says, the words don't wiggle when I read anymore, which I didn't even realize they were. But apparently that was her eyes switching back and forth. And she's doing great. We're really proud of her. We kind of came in here skeptical, but at the same time it was like, and I remember having this conversation with my husband, who's a scientist, and saying, if we have to take her to a voodoo doctor and that helps her, we're going to. I have to try. And this was more kind of my thing, where I was saying, I read the book and I kind of presented it to him, and I said, we're going to do this. It's going to be expensive. It's going to take a lot of time, but we have to try. And he's been blown away too. And it's like none of us expected it to work. Nobody. And we all just thought, okay, well, Abby will come. It'll be another little therapy spurt that we do with her. We do OT, we do PT, we do all this stuff for her. And it did change. It changed a lot. And it's so nice to see her being able to do things normally. And that's what we've always wanted, is her to just be able to play with kids and, interact. And just her on the bike it's just the reward. Seeing her just ride her bike, faster than her sister. It's amazing.